Emily, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So explain to me, what is a plot device?
A plot device is something that the author puts into a novel to drive the action of the plot, to move his or her characters forward. And sometimes it really works, and sometimes it makes you laugh.
Can you give me an example of a scientific plot device that was just outrageous?
I think a lot of people are familiar with both the film and the book The Martian. The thing that actually strands the astronaut on Mars could never happen on Mars. Like, the winds are simply just not strong enough. And that's kind of a well picked apart aspect of that book. And that book is famous, though, because the rest of the book is heavily researched and does a very good job of actually explaining science.
Are there any types of novels that typically bend scientific truth for dramatic effect?
Science fiction as a general rule, which I love. Science fiction is my favorite genre of fiction, but I don't really tackle, with one exception. We do tackle one Philip K. Dick book in the series, Time Out of Joint, but for the most part in this series I've avoided science fiction because, like, we can't do time travel, we can't pick that apart. We can't pick apart, super speed throughout space, like warp drives, like all of that stuff is a little silly, but it's fun, and it's okay that it's silly. It's okay, but that's not the point of this podcast.
All right, so maybe crime novels?
Yeah, with a lot of the forensics, like how I think very famously a lot of forensic television shows will have, like, focus in on a picture and they're like, okay, enhance that picture. Like, no, picture has a limited amount of pixels. You can only enhance it so far. And that's definitely something that science fiction like crime novels will do pretty frequently.
And can you explain to me how these plot devices shape the public's perception of science?
Well, in some cases they can cause fear. So in the case of the book Jaws by Peter Benchley, which is a book that we tackle in the series, as well as the Poisonwood Bible, which is another book that we tackle, both of those novels have exaggerated how certain animals behave. With Jaws, the shark, obviously, and with the Poisonwood Bible, there's a horde of ants. And both of these novels have animals behaving in ways that they would never behave in real life, and it creates this fear. And when you have fear, that's really, really hard for the public to understand why conservation matters, like why shark conservation matters, why insect conservation matters, because they're gross, they're icky, but they're important, and it's really important that we appreciate that.
Emily T. Griffiths, host of KPBS new podcast Device, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.